All right, here we are going over the study guide. And just as a reminder, I can't put every single thing that might pop up on the test on here, so it's always good to look over your notes, labs, and other things we've done. So everything in your binder, go ahead, just glance over that. All right, the 6 characteristics of life. It has to grow or develop, has complex chemistry such as digestion, just eating and digesting your food is complex. Breathing is complex, taking in the oxygen, getting it to our bloodstream. It's made of cells. It maintains homeostasis. Again, homeostasis is the ability to regulate and stay stable. So we sweat to cool ourselves down, or we shiver to heat ourselves up to stay at a stable temperature. It reproduces, or they will say produces offspring, and it responds to the environment or responds to stimuli. When you graph the independent variable, it goes on the x-axis, which is at the bottom of the graph. All right, classifying these as living or not living. A koala is obviously living. Honey itself is not living. Yes, the bees are living, but the honey is not. It's not made of cells. A snowflake, again, not living. Sunlight, non-living. An atom, non-living. Grass is living. It is made out of plant cells. And a jellyfish is living. All right, the bar graph. Compare the number of students enrolled in classes. What class has the highest enrollment? Oh, look, it's biology. How many students are enrolled in chemistry? So we have to figure out what it's counting by. Looks like it's counting by tens, so that would be 160. How many students are in anatomy? 130. Which course is the least popular on this graph? It is physics. This line graph compares the growth of plants that were kept in the sun for a different amount of time. On day 7, the plants kept in the sun for 3 hours were how tall? 3 hours is this little star, and it says day 7. So day 7 with the little star were how tall? If you read the graph over, that is 20 millimeters. On day 10, the plants kept in the sun for 9 hours were how tall? 9 hours is the X in day 10. Read that over, how tall? 140 millimeters. What is the dependent variable? The dependent is over here, and that's the height of the plant. What is the graph missing? Well, the graph has label, unit, even spacing, and a key. This graph is missing a title. Oh, and it looks like... I put my answer on the wrong line right here. So this one was supposed to go here. It says on day 7, the plants kept in the sun for 6 hours. So 6 hours is this triangle, day 7, the triangle. That appears to be about 70 millimeters tall. All right, here we are on page 2. List the 4 major macromolecules that we discussed in class. Carbohydrates. If we're talking about food, we're talking about bread and sugars. We have lipids. Those are our oils and fats. We discussed proteins. That would be like meat. And then nucleic acids. All right, complete this table by checking the correct thing for each description. Stores genetic information, that's DNA, nucleic acid. Makes up fat, oil, and waxes, lipid. Makes up muscle, skin, hair, used for structure and for building, protein. Forms DNA and RNA, nucleic acid. Is made of amino acids, that would be the protein. Includes glucose, sucrose, lactose, and glycogen. Carbohydrate. Stores energy in part of the cell membrane, lipid. This monomer is monosaccharide, carbohydrate. Enzymes are a type of protein. This is made of nucleotides, nucleic acid. Used for quick energy and short-term storage. Quick energy is carbohydrate. Is made up of glycerol and 3 fatty acids, lipid. And made of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen, 2 things. So all of them have this, but that nitrogen's the key word. So that is going to be protein and nucleic acid. Match the description to the term. The minimum amount of energy required for reactants to form products, that is the activation energy. The molecules that are formed after a reaction, that is the product. A substance that lowers energy needed to start a chemical reaction, enzyme. A protein that is a biological living catalyst. Ooh, I got that one wrong then. A substance that lowers, I guess the more vague term is catalyst, and the protein that's living, that would be the enzyme. An enzyme is a type of catalyst. A specifically shaped area on an enzyme where items bind, that is the active site, and a molecule that binds to an enzyme is a substrate. All right, filling this in using these terms. All right. We have, let's see, what's the easiest? Okay, C is pointing to where it's going to join. Where it's going to join is the active site. And then we have our substrates. And then, so substrates. The enzyme substrate complex is right here. That's when it's all joined together. We have a product that is formed, E. And then what's left? B, this pink thing, and F. That is the enzyme. And notice how it's not changed after the reaction occurs. If an enzyme is denatured, what happens to the amount of product formed in a chemical reaction? Would there be less or more? There would be less. Why? The enzyme can no longer lower the activation energy less product will form. An enzyme's job is to reduce the activation energy required in a chemical reaction. Describe the amount of enzyme before a reaction compared to after. The amount of enzyme should be the same before and after. Match the letters on the graph to what's happening. All right, so the energy of the reactants, that's A, where we're starting. The energy of the products is D, where we end. The activation energy required without an enzyme, it's going to be more without an enzyme, so that's B. The activation energy with the enzyme is C, that is less. The enzyme lowered the amount needed. All right, if you increase the pH to 11, what will happen to the activity of enzyme A? 11's here and enzyme A doesn't work there. It will stop. At what pH does enzyme B have the highest work or work best? Appears to be a pH of 10. If you decrease the pH of enzyme B from 10 to 8, what will happen to the activity? It decreases. Would you expect to see either of these enzymes working in the stomach? A pH of 6 and 10? No. The stomach has a pH around 2, much lower, so they would not work in the stomach. All right, guys, now that you've done this, on Google Classroom, I have put Quizlets, Blookits. Those are things you can play to review. Obviously, you can study your study guide, go over everything in your binder, and good luck preparing for your test.